It's the book of Jeremiah, starting at verse, well, the point is verse 6. And it reads, Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunken, and nations drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Verse 8, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain, if so she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. I want to start off by giving all praise, all honor, and all glory to Allah, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Hashem, Kodash. I say double honors to the elders and to the apostles that learned this truth from. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Aqua for listening and learning. Lord willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to Israel. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but subscribe to this truth. To you, I say Shalom. Brother, y'all, what's up? Coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit, through the power of Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. Yahweh meaning He is, He exists, or He to be. By Hashem, by His in, His the Hashem, His name. Yahweh Shai meaning He saves, or He deliverer. True names of the Most High God and His Son, who people ignorantly call God, and Jesus Christ, but whose true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. This lesson is pretty much inspired by an article I came across. As you can see, the title, it says, ICE agents told U.S. citizen, you have no rights. And that caught my attention because, scriptures talk about the men that are on their leaves, settled on their leaves, and what's that, Isaiah chapter 32 about rise up, you women, and depart, for this is not your rest. Well, I might be mixing up two scriptures, but I know it's in Isaiah chapter 32. Rise up, you women that are at ease. Pretty much because, this place has catered to, women, men, in a multitude of ways. Again, you just think about it. You have a system that got people pretty much. It kind of enabled them. You had women that pretty much knew how to finesse the system to the point where they, I remember brother speaking on that. He was like, he knew somebody that got back like 20 or 40,000 on income tax. Like, how the fuck you do that? It's little loopholes, but at the end of the day, truly finessing the system. And the thing is, all that's, about to go out the window along with the baby and the bathwater, you know what I mean? Because the simple fact is, with all these different cuts, if you are not willing to be down with this man's system, it's going to be more difficult for you to get the aid that you need. I was listening to a brother talking about how, again, like with all the CV and all these different things, it pretty much changed the tax code, I guess now you had to have a little higher income in order to receive the full benefits of earned income credit. And that's probably just to appease, the middle class that's been taking a beating. Again, this man playing so many mind games and doing so much witchcraft and sorcery. It's funny because they floating around the idea of giving back a $600 rebate check based off of the tariffs, they say, when at the end of the day, the tariffs haven't really helped anything. That they actually hurt things. They hurt businesses here. You got major corporations like Ford that was affected. So if a major corporation like Ford, which was affected by it, what makes you think these little mom and pops? Come on, like, again, this shit ain't rocket science, like literally, what do you expect? You got all these different businesses closing up. I was supposed to do a lesson on that. They was just talking about like 1,500 businesses just closed up. This place is no longer sustainable. It says, An 18-year-old U.S. citizen is speaking out after he was arrested by immigration agents in Florida back in May. An incident captured on video that has since drawn national scrutiny. You know, this is one of those cases where somebody actually experienced it. Like you Babylonians believe you got rights. Well, they told him he doesn't have any rights, and he was born here. He's a citizen. Kenny Lanez, a high school senior and U.S. citizen, was on his way to work as a landscaper with his mother and two co-workers when their vehicle was pulled over by Florida Highway Patrol. According to authorities, the stop was due to too many passengers in the front seat. Soon after, Federal Border Patrol agents arrived on the scene, working in coordination with the state troopers. They questioned the passengers and escalated the stop into an immigration enforcement action. And that's the spirit, because they was talking about how, I think DJ Trump made the statement. He said he want to pretty much use the state patrol to actually like check for citizenship. So how I mean, I thought you were already, like when you get pulled over, we're all in their system now. Like to even be able to operate a motor vehicle, you're in their system. So, in order to get a driver's license, you got to show birth certificate, you got to show social security card. So again, like I said, but the lines are so blurred because the fact is, you got real U.S. citizens that got caught up in these different raids, and again, some people, pretty much made it back. Some people was released, but some people, like that one guy Garcia that was from New Jersey, I think he's still over in Venezuela or El Salvador or one of them places. Says the 18-year-old's response. Lanez began recording the incident on his phone. In the video, an officer can be heard telling him, "You got no rights here. You're an amigo, brother." Lanez later told CBS News of the comment, "It hurts me hearing them say that I have no rights here because I look like Hispanic. I'm Hispanic." He added of the arrest, "We're not resisting, we're not committing any crime to you. Run away." Two of the passengers in the vehicle with Lanez were undocumented immigrants. The situation quickly escalated as officers deployed a taser, and Lanez was detained along with his co-workers. His phone continued recording after his detention, capturing an exchange between the officers. One said they're starting to resist more. We're going to end up shooting some of them. Another replied, "Just remember, you can smell that too with a $30,000 bonus." They just talking shit. This is the spirit that he put on them. Call a lawyer like, "Yo, we'll shoot that shit." I was listening to brother said, you 2/3 niggas basically keep that same energy when Esau come through the hood. And the thing is, ultimately, it is going to be some of them that's going to have that same energy. I remember it was a particular police officer that pretty much was terrorizing the neighborhood. I ain't gonna say no names, but I'm gonna say this much: it got so bad to the point that the guys from the street, like the elder said, from where he from, they claim streets. I think that's a little bit everywhere. Yeah, niggas repping blocks. But anyhow, it got so bad that they pretty much anteed up and had like a individual on drugs literally willing to make the sacrifice to take this man out. So you're going to have individuals, because the Lord going to put the spirit, a left-hand spirit on them to do some wild shit. You know what I mean? Again, this going to be real. It's gonna be real shit, I just wanted to get that point. I don't have time to go through the whole article. Well, I'll read this part. U.S. Customs and Border Protection later issued a statement to CBS News claiming that the individuals involved had resisted arrest and that immigration agents are facing a rise in assaults. And I noticed that because I was just watching something that was talking about these agents are being, like the assault, it's like up 500% or some shit like that. Now, these people got guns. Let's just really sit back and fathom that. These people got guns. The Northern Kingdom, the Israelite brother, he literally said, "We ain't even resisting." No, because at the end of the day, they want to come and show force. I forgot what show was that. said if you don't show force, they won't fear you. And they want you to fear it. You know, again, in order to control, you want to control somebody, you want to control, you know, a group of people, you make them fear. It says, however, the agency made no mention of Lanez's citizenship or why a U.S. citizen was detained. Marinia Blanco, director of the Guatemala Maya Center, says Florida's policies are leading to serious overwatch. Laws are just, you know, they're no longer being respected. They're no longer being upheld. Deputizing these agents so quickly, it is going to bring severe consequences, she said. And at the end of the day, that's what it is. You know, you got a lot of miserable ass people. The job market is fucked up, and pretty much, like the elder said, you know, you got these people that's pretty much, you know, Esau Edom hate, when he taking a beating, his hate shows forth through, you know, wanting to fuck up Jake, or, you know, fuck up one of the other tribes. You know, he'll show you his horns for real. But now he's giving him the power to go, you know, because Esau Edom is the violent man. So now he's going to pay him as well. He's going to pay him as well as allow him to, you know, whoop on your ass through the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. So, you know, I just, you know, scriptures again talk about the men settled on their leads. You know, those that all believe that, you know, this place is, you know, you got rights. Well, they just told you ain't got no fucking rights. You know. Scriptures, like it says, and so to say, come up out of her, come up out of the mindset of this place. You know, is your peace and safety. You know, scriptures talk about woe to them that go down on Egypt for help. You got people that really believe DJ Trump is about to make America great again. Yeah, it's still this place ain't never been more divided than it is now. You know, you got literally they desensitizing these people. Because again, like I said, where's the uproar in that? He a U.S. citizen. We supposed to have rights. But they just proved and told him he ain't got none. You know, so the Lord about to unleash this devil, his sword. This is the book of Ezekiel chapter 21. And starting at verse 8, and it reads, again, the word of the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, say, a sword is sharpened and also furbished. Verse 10, it is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Shall we then make mirth? It contempteth the rod of my son as every tree. And he hath given it to be furbished that it may be handled. This sword is sharpened and is for furbished to give it into the hand of the slayer. You know, who is the slayer? Esau Edom. You know, tells you he's a minister for the Most High. I got that on deck. Cry and howl, son of man, for it shall be upon my people. It shall be upon all the princes of Israel. Terrors by reason of the sword shall be upon my people. Smite therefore upon thy thigh. And you know, these everyday Babylonians, these, you know, these red-blooded Babylonians gonna get caught up to a degree, but not really. You know what I mean? Like, you see, they signaling, you know, the tribes out. I was reading something that they said pretty much how they want to be able to use the fact that if you speak Spanish, that's justification for them to actually like detain you as far as ICE. Now think about it. You know how many individuals that were born here that speak Spanish? And the thing is, what make me laugh is for real. Like, yeah, when you take that, I mean, this shit, a child would see this. You know, you brought the problem, reaction, solution. You allowed these people in. They the best. Again, you gotta remember, at one point they was taking care of them. Did Joey B just walk out and he become a third degree Mason and become an actor? He did some hellified acting, right? It says, verse 13, because it is trial, and what if the sword contempteth even the rod, it shall be no more, saith the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua power. Thou therefore, son of man, prophesy and smite thine hands together, and let the sword be doubled the third time, the sword of the slain. It is the sword of the great men that are slain, which enter into their privy chambers. For the king of Babylon stood at the parting of the way at the head of the two ways to use divination. He made his arrows bright. He consulted with images. He looked in the liver. It says, verse 19, also thou son of man, appoint these two ways, that the sword of the king of Babylon may come. Both twain shall come forth out of one land, and choose thou a place. Choose it at the head of the way to the city. Ezekiel chapter 14 and verse 21. We start up Ezekiel 14 and verse 17. Or if I bring a sword upon the land, and say, sword, go through the land, so that I cut off man and beast from it, though these three men were in it, as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahshua power, saith the Lord power, they shall deliver neither son nor daughters, but neither sons nor daughters, but they only shall be delivered themselves. Or if I send a pestilence into that land, and pour out my fury upon it, and blood to cut off from it man and beast, though Noah, Daniel, and Job were in it, as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahshua power, they shall deliver neither some, but deliver their own souls by their righteousness. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahshua power, how much more when I send my four sword judgments upon Jerusalem, the sword and the famine and the noisome beast and the pestilence, to cut off from it man and beast. Because the Lord about to bring many judgments, and it's you know, the scriptures talk about spirits created for vengeance. It's many ways that the Lord can use to take you out. He could use, you know, when I was sitting back meditating on it, I was like, damn, you got to think about it. The Lord got certain animals set up to literally like just gnaw people to death. And that's why you're seeing them spirits, well, them animals getting roused up, you know. I think I heard about like the third dog attack that it killed its owner. Yeah, because the Lord, the Heavenly Father, is the Father of spirits, you know. And if you ain't pleasing the Lord, because the Lord could use a deer, you know what I mean? Like, and a deer is a peaceful animal to a degree, but then at the same time, not the male deer. I just saw a male deer the other day. That was the purpose of me getting, cause I got a crossbow. That was the purpose of getting me to getting a crossbow. Fuck it, you can't protect myself with no crossbow. These motherfuckers got real good. I got it because there's a lot of deers in the hood. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, well, shit, you know, that's gonna come in handy. You know. I think Jake thought I was gonna sit up there and be able to think I'm doing some. I think I'm the Green Arrow. I think I'm Hawkeye or some shit. What's his name off of The Walking Dead? I can't think of his name. This is the book of Romans chapter 13, starting at verse 1, and it reads, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of the Most High. The powers that be are ordained of the Most High. So the Lord, you know, picks up or puts up one and pulls down another. You know, the Lord, you know, tells you in scriptures that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of man, and give it to whomever he will. Verse 2, whosoever therefore resisteth the power resisteth the ordinance of the Most High, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. You know, the Lord got a divine order for all things. You know. Verse 3, for rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. For he is a minister, says Dianos, says run errands, attendant, a waiter, pastor, technically a deacon or deaconess, minister. So pretty much a servant. He is a minister of the Most High to thee for good, but if thou do that which is evil, be afraid, for he beareth not the sword in vain, for he is the minister of the Most High, a revenger, to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. So ultimately, you know, what's that? Psalm 17. Yeah. Protect basically us from your sword, you know, the wicked, which is your sword. What's that? Isaiah chapter 10. It's another name for Esau, Edom, the Assyrian. This book of Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 5. O Assyrian, the rod of my anger and the staff in their hand is my indignation. I will send him against a hypocritical nation, which is, 2/3 of the nation of Israel, and against the people of my wrath will I give him a charge to take the spoil and to take the prey and to tread them down like the mire of the streets. So that's pretty much what the Lord is, setting up. The scriptures talk about it's time for the Most High Yahweh, Hashem Yahushua, to work because they have made void thy law. These people is going to refuse. 2/3 is going to refuse to come back to the law, statutes, commandments of Yahweh, Hashem Yahushua, and that's written. That's why you can't really be all butt hurting and go all ape shit crazy over 2/3 that refuse to hearken. You got people refuse. You got people literally and that's scary too. Like I said again, when you see how the Lord got it set up and people just refuse to see or just completely blinded, like they don't believe. He just told dude he ain't got no motherfucking rights. so that goes for all of us. It's the book of Isaiah chapter 13 and verse I'm gonna start at verse 4. The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, muster the host of the battle. The Lord is putting his spirit on Esau, Edom. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. Howl ye for the day of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Howl ye for the day of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. And they shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrows shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. Verse 9, Salakia. Behold, the day of the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua cometh cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. And this is about to be your Jacob trouble. Scriptures, like the elder always talks about, Babylon the Great is a huge altar. And 2/3 of Israel is going to be sacrificed here. Due to the will and power of Yahweh Shah. This so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian. I implore you come back to the law, statutes, and commandments of your power, whose true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, or you will be destroyed. And with that, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to call Allah even like Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Ba'ashem Rakahakudas. Double honors to the elders and to the apostles I learned this truth from. Peace and salutation to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and freedom to do so, now more so than ever. I want to Akim Aquat out there listening, learning, Lord willing to edify. I want to the Israelites in the land that the other nations appearing like the other nations to be subscribing to this truth. To you, I say Shalom. Till I'm able to come with another lesson, I'm going to say Shalom, Shalom, Wam, Yasser Allah, and Mawaf Abu Ball.